Alright, what is up guys? It is a rainy Valentine's Day, and I've got about 2 hours to spend with this cold-hearted beast right here. So the deal is, this rear axle, I pulled it out of a buggy. And if you've watched my channel, you already know where it came from. I did a couple odd things to it, but there's still some things I wanted to do to it. For starters, it came with 3-inch spacers on each side. I'm sure the previous owner had his reasons. And I am all about making the rear axle the same width as the front axle. However, with the 3 inches, it made the rear axle even wider than the front. And you know, I'm gonna blame that on getting hung up on that tree the other day for sure. Totally the spacer's fault, not bad driver problem at all. So I got the passenger side off. The driver's side was terrible, and I think the lug nuts were put on with some Loctite anyway, which is actually a good idea for spacers, but it kind of bit me in the butt here, and the lug nut rounded off even though I preheated it with the torch. I used my phone to get some crappy footage of me gaining access to that lug nut. Maybe I'll insert that here. I already wrapped up that side. I have the 1.5-inch spacer on the passenger side. But on the driver, I was removing the spacers, and I got down to the last lug nut. This is how this stuff goes, right? Last lug nut inside here, and it is completely stripped. Completely stripped. So I'm gonna have to cut an access panel out of the spacer and sacrifice the spacer, which is okay, because I don't think I need these 3-inch spacers for anything ever again. All right, that's what it currently looks like from the cutoff wheel action. I'm gonna see if I can pop the rest of it off with a hammer and chisel. Oh, not enough. That did not break where I wanted it to. All right, I'm gonna have to cut a little more. Pretty thick aluminum, which is good. This is all very convenient. All right. Yeah, that lug nut is super rounded off. There it is in there. All right, now that I can see it, let's see if I can do something with that. Well, that was really terrible. Not a good time at all. And I was not able to save the stud. If you guys have ever cut through lots of aluminum, it seems like there's lots of friction and it just is a slow process, and there's flakes shooting, flipping everywhere. Here's the spacer. You can see the old stud is still stuck in there. Anyway, what a pain in the butt. Look how messy this whole thing looks now. It's in a sad state. If you guys want to buy this for a few $100 from me, just let me know in the comments. I was taking the 3-inch spacers off to put on some 1.5s. So obviously the spacer part of that project turned into a disaster really quick. And then I noticed there was like an existing leak behind the hub here. So I was like, well, what better time than now to fix that leak? I'll put in a new seal. So I pull out my axle shaft. Well, after pulling the axle shaft out, I see that the locking spindle nut is cracked in half. You guys probably know what they look like. Cracked in half, awesome. And then behind the cracked spindle nut is a destroyed bearing. I got roller bearings just all over the place. Here's a couple of the rollers just kind of floating around in there, which is not what you want. But it sounds good, doesn't it? What's up, guys? What? Okay, well that's cool. I still have a mess on my hands. Alright guys, I am back and I have an update. I sourced out everything I need. It took a couple different locations to get everything I need, but I got a brand new seal, new bearings, a new spindle lock nut, and I already have the spacer down there, as you guys know. And it is just a lovely Friday evening. Forgot to mention the new wheel stud. Picked that up as well. This was a mess. I'm glad I'm taking care of it now, though, rather than something wild happening on the trails. All right, here's that new spindle nut. That's reverse threaded, just so you guys know. Not that this really is a tutorial at all. But I bought this for one of my Super Duties a billion years ago, and I'm glad I still have it. W83008 is the tool. And that's the tool I use for my Sterling axle, in case you guys are wondering. We're all back together. Let's throw this tire and wheel back on.